Good morning, New Thought family.
Good morning.
I bring you greetings. I'm up here with the book, not my notes. I bring you greetings from Unity of New York in Manhattan, and I said to our spiritual leader, Reverend Britt Hall, that I would invite you to hold Unity of New York in love and light. Today is their Friendship Sunday, so it's a special Sunday there at Unity. And we've gone through lots of changes. Change is the operative word for the year, along with abundance, and it has been a gift and a blessing, all wrapped up in love, and we are so thankful. So at 11 o'clock, they will kick off their Friendship Sunday. So greetings, and I also bring special greetings from Reverend Becca Bean. She says, hey, y'all. And thank you, Dottie. I haven't gone to seminary. I'm still a licensed teacher, so I'm not Reverend Kathy, just Kathy. That's good. That's good. So thank you for the music. Steve and I always talk about the enthusiasm with which you share your music. And Keenan, thank you for the acoustic guitar. We are not powerless. We are power-filled because we are the generators of the light, just like Joseph said this morning. Yes, we generate it. And this month of enthusiasm that you're celebrating is very evident. I can see it, I can feel it. And this is, as one of our regular speakers at Unity of New York, he comes in, Reverend Carlos Anderson, he says, this is the best day ever. And it is the best day ever. It's a beautiful day. We had a great trip here, Steve and I did, and we're happy to be with you. So this whole month of enthusiasm. So the co-founder of the Unity movement, Charles Fillmore, said the following words: I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. And he shared that insight at 94. Just saying. 94. He didn't just say, I fairly sizzle with zeal to spring forth. He said, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm to spring forth. And I was thinking, 94, and he's springing. I better check myself, see what my knees are doing, my ankles are doing, and see if they can still spring. And I decided, yes, they can still spring. So I wanted to look at zeal and enthusiasm because he used both those words, and your word of the month is enthusiasm. So looked at enthusiasm, and one definition said intense and eager enjoyment. Lively interest. Okay. So when we look at that word metaphysically, according to the revealing word, it says ardent zeal or interest, fervor. The one I circled said divine inspiration. I like that. Yeah. Enthusiasm is another word for zeal. And Fillmore said zeal is a great stimulator of man. And the origin of enthusiasm from the Greek is en theos, in God. In God. Now, I don't know about you. That made me pause a little bit. In God, that word enthusiasm comes from the divine, a word that describes divine. Use whatever word you choose to use. Divine, sweet spirit, universe, energy, whatever you choose to call that which I believe I cannot define, because in the definition I'm limiting something that is unlimited with possibility. So I like that divine enthusiasm in God. And so I looked at zeal, fervor for a person, cause, or object. And in the metaphysical dictionary, it says intensity. And then I ran into the word enthusiasm. So many seem to use those terms interchangeably, but this is what I really liked. It said, the inward fire of the soul that urges us onward, regardless of our intellect that may say otherwise, that may say stop and conserve. So it's regardless of that. Zeal is the mighty force that incites the winds, the tides, the storm, and it goes on. It also said the affirmative impulse in existence. And then he wrote, it means to go forward. So we have enthusiasm, that intense inspiration, and the zeal in my mind made me feel like it was like a propeller. So we're armed with enthusiasm. In our teachings, it's one of our abilities or powers, enthusiasm. I love that because it tells me it's already in me. It's already in each of us. Eric Butterworth says, we've all been given the same measure of enthusiasm or zeal, but it's about how we choose to put that enthusiasm to work in our lives. So it's there, and it will work when we choose to work it. And each of us will be a different expression, that outpicturing of how we choose to put our enthusiasm to work. So we have a vested interest in these abilities or these powers or these attributes that are in us. I like to say we're already here. We've been created perfectly, meaning we are perfectly equipped to do what is ours to do. We have it in us. It is about evoking and enthusiastically embracing the spirit of life and love that created us to spring forth and move forward to do what is ours to do. So you might say, well, what is mine to do? That big question. What's the purpose? Why am I here? What am I to do? I love that we have tools. We've already used them this morning. Prayer and meditation. Tools right at our fingertips. Each of us will engage in prayer and meditation differently, collectively, with the intention coming from that power and presence that lives in, dwells in, resides in us, coming from that place and expressing out collectively that enthusiasm is power-filled. Each of us already has that divine spark. It is our intention that ignites it, that brings it forth, that puts that light out there. And one thing I also love about universal teachings, and it doesn't tell us exactly how that should look. I don't know about you, but I appreciate that. Because as each of us is individually created, each of us has unique takes on our gifts and our abilities. Each of us has a different way of expressing it. So my enthusiasm might be loud, and I am so not happy about not being here next week when you have your dance party, because I love a dance break. So I'll be holding y'all in love and light as I'm sitting on the train riding uptown saying, I think New Thought is getting down. They are jamming right about now. And each of you will display your joy and enthusiasm during the dance break differently. Some might just quietly move from side to side. Others might break dance and slide down the aisle. Our enthusiasm, the intensity, is not based on loudness and being boisterous, and that's fine. Just because one is quiet doesn't mean that that inner fire isn't searing and isn't propelling that individual forward. I love that we get to choose how to express it. And I love the complicated nature of human beings, because one day I might be quietly expressing my zeal or enthusiasm, and another day I might be out there running up and down somewhere, just having a good old time out in nature. So even within ourselves, we'll have different expressions on different days, to the degree that we choose to express our enthusiasm. It's a gift of choice, yes? So we get to choose. So I am not to look at one and say, they're certainly not enthusiastic. Who am I to know? Inside, they're jumping up and down. Inside, they're on fire. We can be on fire to do what is ours to do, each in our own unique way. I love that. Reverend Charles Roth says that he's motivated from within, not just by enthusiasm, but the enthusiasm is coupled with wisdom. And that's important. We can use our power of zeal or enthusiasm in different ways. We have something we call sense consciousness. Just using it, using our five senses, using it being informed from the outside world and letting the outside world dictate to me how I am to use it. Perhaps I'll use it for personal gain. Perhaps, and this is true, this really happened, when I discovered for myself New Thought, I was so excited. I said, Kath, honey, you've been running your life the wrong way, been thinking the wrong way about divinity and God and who you are and what you are. And I was so excited when I learned I was good and not a hopeless worm of the dust. Because, worms are cool. They have their thing to do, but, I didn't want to be equated with that. And I was so happy when I learned the universal presence, divine spirit, God, all that is, whatever you choose to label it, is absolute good, can only be about the business of being love and expression. And I created in that image and likeness as each of us is, in turn, good, period, not conditional. I just wanted to shout it from the rooftops. I drove my husband crazy. Because it begins to get in you, and you're trying to figure out what this means. So you have to go to a class, you have to read a book, you have to go online. And I had a fervor. But thankfully, I had a wonderful teacher who said, now, Kathy, have a discussion with the people that are closest to you. Let them know what's happening. And don't try to make anybody hear you or believe what you're studying. That zeal and enthusiasm was to propel me into a disciplined way of discovering and uncovering truth. Not for me to go out and do what I felt had been done to me as a kid growing up, having a doctrine and dogma beat over my head and said, you've got to believe this or else you're going to go to that other place that starts with H. And the second letter is E. Thank you, whoever said that back there. And you want to be mindful that that inner fire is to propel you. It's to propel me and have it inner directed so that the light that I cultivate, the changes that occur as a result of wanting to intend love into the world, wanting to intend peace for my fellow human beings, and plenty, abundance, and that desire for expressing my gratitude will be a demonstration of love in action, and demonstration of enthusiasm and zeal in action. Because when we demonstrate love in action, it's the great magnet, it's the great attractor. And someone might say, I want to have what she's having. What are you doing? And who showed you how to do it? And then upon being asked, then gently share. It's a big difference between you've got to believe this, you've got to memorize this, or else. So I don't know about you, but I am for the love-based enthusiasm, the heartfelt and the heart-based enthusiasm that comes from living life from the inside, from each of our sparks of divinity outward, to be the light walkers we've been created to be the truth talkers we've been created to be. So no matter what degree of enthusiasm you are feeling on any given day, if you have that thought, I want to pick it up a notch, go into your spiritual toolbox and pull out whatever works for you to ignite it, because it's there. Eric Butterworth says, hey, it might be dormant, but it never disappears. Because that which created us doesn't take away anything. It's all about imparting more. It's all about abundance. And so we go within, and through that prayer and meditation, we uncover and rediscover what that spark is and what ignites it for us. I love that. And when we're using our enthusiasm from that love space, we know it's true because it will never lead us to hurt another. It doesn't lead us to hurt ourselves. It creates a win-win. It may not look like it sometimes, but we know with affirmative prayer, we also use denials. We don't say that doesn't exist. We say the power doesn't exist in whatever I am seeing that I am choosing not to invite in my life or choosing not to express. We deny its power over us to keep us from being the light-filled, enthusiastic expressions of love that we've been created to be. Enthusiasm will fuel us to move forward, energize us when we feel, sprinkle some gratitude on that, because anything we give thanks for, anything that we bless, multiplies. So bless what you desire to see and feel more of in your life. And while you're about the business of blessing for yourself, extend that blessing out, because we have our gifts and are given them to cultivate them so that we may be a blessing to the world, to those in our worlds, our families, our friends, our co-workers, the folks we don't know. Because we truly are one. We sang about it this morning, didn't we? We really are. So let our thoughts, our words, our actions line up, be fueled by enthusiasm from the place of love and peace and wholeness and harmony, and live life grand. We're here to live life grand. I heard the word bliss used this morning. I love that word. Blissed out and beautiful. That's what we are. That's what we're created to be. So never forget, your inner fire might be hiding, but we know Scripture says you don't light a lamp to hide it under a bushel. We light it so that the world can know the possibilities of amazement that exist for all of us. So keep that inner fire glowing. Namaste.